Ladies and gents, Social Nurse here. Thank you very much for stopping by my channel. Today I'm going to talk about Smokey Robinson. I recently saw him on The View. There's a clip out there online with Smokey Robinson talking about being referred to as Black American versus African American. But first, let's just talk about who Smokey Robinson is. He is a hit songwriter and recording artist. He has written hit songs for himself as well as other artists, right? He is closely associated with a record label named Motown Records, and most of his hit music is from years ago. We're talking about old school music, but it really sounds good. Look it up, check it out. He's got some really good songs that really sound good to the ear today. But anyway, he was on The View, and in the clip I saw, this is not verbatim, but he said that he rejects being called African American. He accepts, he embraces being called Black American because Black American more appropriately identifies who he is. And I get where he's coming from. I understand his perspective. He said that he's never been to Africa and he's just not really attached to Africa in the way that he is America. Now, he states that, and this is true, that Black Americans have contributed greatly to what America is. Black Americans have contributed greatly into the building of America, of the United States of America. And that's true. Black people, or people who identify as Black, have contributed in positive ways to the United States of America, currently and throughout history. This is true. So he believes that Black American more appropriately identifies who the Black American is. And how I'm understanding this is from a perspective that Black Americans have been in the United States for generations. Some of our families have been in the United States during slavery, Civil War up until now. Generations of 4, 5, 6 fathers and mothers. There are some Black people who state that their Black family members, their ancestry, was in America even before slavery. So you've got different arguments out there. But the point is that many of us, Black Americans, are closely associated with America versus Africa because this is where we are from. This is part of our roots, right? So I get his perspective. Definitely understand where he's coming from with that. Smokey Robinson wants to be identified as Black American and not as African American. With that said, it made me think a little bit about just the conversation of race, phenotype, and identity, right? That's something I talk about a lot on this channel because it's a big subject matter. And these subjects, these conversations are not only online, they are offline, right? I mean, how many of you have had someone to ask you, what do you mix with? What do you mix with? And or people to comment on, just wow, you have a nice tan, or just talk about your skin tone, or your eyes or the shape of your eyes, or some of these comments can be positive and some can be negative of what the person is trying to get across to you. But these are conversations, right, that come and occur offline. They're not only online, but they're big online, right? And we know that the one drop rule has been incorporated in America for years, for decades, for a long time, right? The rule is not a biological, scientific rule. The one drop rule is based on politics and economics and money, as well as racism. I think it's fine that biracial people identify as biracial and reject the one drop rule. I think some people in certain age groups are still conditioned to believe and think another way. We know that the media likes to still promote mixed race or biracial people as black if they have black or black parent. We know that there are black Americans that still insist on embracing the one drop rule, even though black Americans did not invent the one drop rule. Slaves didn't invent the one drop rule. And if we're honest, there are still white people who still categorize biracial people as black. That still happens too. So it is a combination of things that still contribute to this. Now, I think black people talk about it the most because the people are one dropped ruled into the black group. And this is why black people should not hold on to a rule that they did not create. At the same time, I can understand why black Americans are most sensitive to it. But sometimes you've just got to let things go, because there's been this infighting amongst black Americans, light skinned, dark skinned, and all the different hues that we have for years. If we want to be honest about it, this has existed for years. And with the growth of biracial people, it's becoming even more complicated, right? It's just adding to the despair, if you will. The one drop rule needs to go away. It needs to go away. I personally build my social capital and friendships based on individual people and how they relate to me, how we treat each other. And absolutely, a lot of people in my personal circle are black Americans, right? I'm not going to lie about that, but we have a mutual respect. We have a mutual respect. That's it, period. As far as Smokey Robinson and his place in history, if I get back on topic, that history and his accomplishments in the music industry will always be there. But I think about in the future, way future, like somewhere way in the future, when history is written, if there's going to be an asterisk by some people's names to kind of just indicate formerly known as black, or just kind of explain at the time this person was in the black category or the black racial group. I wonder how history will change for the black American, right? Will the accomplishments of so-called black Americans diminish because of recategorizing racial groups based on biological, right, parentage, as well as phenotype? I think phenotype comes into play as well when you talk about biracial people that are not light skinned. So it's going to be a really interesting thing. I don't know. But with that said, Smokey Robinson, hit maker, songwriter, forever in the history books, he prefers to be called Black American. Social Nurse here. Thank you very much for stopping by the channel.